Hey, you're all set.
Thanks.
You're very welcome.
I'd like to call the November 19th meeting of the Block Island Housing Board to order. It's shortly after 3 o'clock. Thank you all for being here. Public input. We're very happy to have Stephen record in the audience today. Thanks for coming. Thanks for your support, Stephen. Feel free to chime in.
Thank you.
At any point. So at this point, let's take a look at our minutes of October 22. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion has been made by Shannon, seconded by Mark. Further discussion about the minutes.
What does it mean?
Shannon's the minutes. I'll put their arm at the wall.
I thought the minutes looked okay.
Yeah, okay.
I,
All those in favor of approving October 22 minutes, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed,
One abstention, I wasn't.
one abstention for Chris.
I'll try to spell that for you.
Stay.
Moving on to our financial reports. We should circulate those. I will include a motion about the financial reports.
Motion to approve.
Motion's been made by Chris. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mark. Any further discussion?
It looks like the financials are where we want them. As far as balances in different accounts.
Balances look good, but I did have a question on the position by fund. Due from the state. Oh, I think that must be from our grant. Okay, that's a fact. That would be the draw from the grant was that we received for $300,000. Those bills, they did accept. So that's very good news. Okay, any further discussion about the financial report? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So voted. Rosemary, I think you were gonna talk to Josh Maldonado about website development.
I did not. I think they were away.
Want to pick up on that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can reach out to them today.
Okay. Update on an extension, well, excuse me, anything else about that before we move on?
Well, are we going to approach them, Josh, sorry, to do this in lieu of anybody else? And I understand Josh is very bad, I'm like, me just wondering, are we gonna start with Josh and see what he says?
He had volunteered a number of months ago, so we thought we would touch base with him first. And then based upon his response, either cast the net wider or not.
I did do some research on grants for development website for nonprofits and there are grants available for that purpose. However, you have to, basically what it looks like is that the company that is providing the grant, you have to split. The grant covers half the cost, the total cost of the website, so it's not truly a grant, it's a 50% grant. And who knows how they come up with their person. With that, amount. Anyway, it seemed advantageous, but I looked at 3 different ones and they all look the same. And they were all New York City.
Do you think that in order to be considered for a grant like that, you'd have to show a competitive bidding process or something?
Anything like that, they just do this as part of their business model, I think, but it's to bring it in, at a low introductory price.
They would develop the
The website,
got it.
yeah,
Okay,
and
understand.
they basically are giving you half off.
Gotcha.
And then I think the idea is, then you're kind of captive to them.
Yeah.
So it's, I was I just want to, there are business models out there where. That's reality, if down the road. You want to consider.
What is the town use?
Good question.
Which has, we can piggyback on them.
I just emailed them. Josh.
I'll look into who the town is using. Okay, so update on the extension of the Rhode Island infrastructure grant for Wall Farm. So Mark, wrote the letter, which was sent to, Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank people. We do have an extension till fall of 2025. In the course of, that discussion, we learned that there are a few strings attached to this grant. And the good news is we found out about them now, not later. So the first is that, they definitely want to be kept apprised of our construction schedule. And they want to have a representative from their group be on site to see the groundbreaking. So we have to keep them in the loop on that. Secondly, Davis Bacon wages do apply to the usage of this grant.
What was the last thing you said?
Davis Bacon wage schedule applies to this grant.
Wage schedule.
I don't know if that's the right word.
I get that, yeah, that's good.
I've spoken with Vane about this, the wage schedule, or the wage range is not a problem, we're more than above Bacon Davis, limitations. What Vane will have to do is keep a, timeline and certified payroll records, which he is used to doing. So as long as he knows ahead that he's gotta do that, he can comply with that. Pretty so,
Is that the only string or?
one more.
Before I ask the question.
One more, and this was a new one to me and a new one to Vane. Which, and I don't know that I can get it accurate. But it has to do with, employing women and minority companies. In the process of this job. So. We either. Employ women or minorities that fit their definition. Or. We, A, must show due diligence that we try to employ. Those categories of people. And then C, failing. To accomplish that, we must request a waiver. So. I don't have all the answers on how we. Approach that. I mentioned it to, Bain. And he was not familiar with it. I'm gonna try to talk to Amy. She's probably run into it. Just to make sure that we. I mean, there could be some suppliers that Bain gets materials from.
Well, Tammy, maybe you could do the electricity. Just.
Yeah, she's the only female that I'm aware of, but.
So that gets to sort of the question I had. Their representative and the monitoring of the construction, is that the entire construction, or can you separate out the trunk line as a separate effort? So,
Yes.
Because it would probably be easier if we had those requirements for minority and women-only companies being involved, if it would involve them in everything, but if the infrastructure weren't people, if we're just doing the infrastructure, the trunk line, it'll be a little tricky.
Right,
Um,
to the best of my knowledge, and I could be wrong, but to the best of my knowledge, the work proposed for the trunk line pretty much blows our 300,
okay,
right?
and that's the schedule. that they
And
would policy.
once we've expended the funds that they have granted us, they're out of the picture, is the best of my knowledge,
So that's a question,
yeah.
is they are the strings for the entire project or just stuff that they're paying? That's the,
I
that's.
think that it's just, but I will double check that.
How are these questions or strings,
Yeah.
communicate?
Through Allison Rain and a telephone conversation with,
So there's nothing in
I don't have
writing.
anything in writing yet, but I believe they're gonna send us some forms, there, some paperwork that. But I haven't had it yet.
Okay.
Can,
So-
Mark, what was his total questions,
Can that
was it
please be-
stream?
Can that please be-
Wait a minute, Mark, you trying to get Mark's question?
Sorry. My question was
Stream through the entire budget or just,
the entire project, the entire housing project.
Yeah.
Just the infrastructure. piece.
okay, thank you.
Sorry, Chris, sorry.
So they're gonna be providing documents to us for how the grant funding works. And it will basically stipulate these requirements. So I want to receive a copy of what they provide to us, so I can review it. I've done reviewing of this similar language and other projects that I've been involved in. And I think just as a observation, it's important in anything that we put out for bid to have certain language in it, and that's not what they're going to require. Stipulating that we're going to be, you know, an equal opportunity employer, encouraging minority women companies. And so on, but we have to look for that language that they direct us to use or find acceptable language and pass it to them to make sure that that is what they want to see on our documents.
I think that's absolutely correct.
So that's how they go through this.
That raises a separate question. Are we actually going to put this out for bid again? The infrastructure piece?
We did send them, the original bid package. Which if you recall, that whole bid thing was drawn up by Jeremiah, engineering. That appeared to be acceptable to them. They have a copy of Bing's, bid proposal. Now what they are looking for is, their suggestion. And also the town's suggestion, represented by Jeremiah. Is that we enter into a sub-agreement with Bing, carving out the exact, you had mentioned this, Josh, the exact tasks that he's going to accomplish for the fee schedule proposed. And do a separate, like a subset of the whole contract, with the understanding that, that's whatever that number is, would be then subtracted from his original bid. So we have a fair amount of work ahead of us to get that piece together. I think that, what Allison and, the infrastructure grant people said was, GM2. The engineer said, did the whole plan, know the scope of, work that needs to be done for each portion of the plan. So that they would be good to call to, as a first call, for them to help us get that new contract together. Does that make sense?
Why would they, what would they add to the process, do you think?
Say again, please.
What would they add to the process? GM2? They wrote the specifications or the analysis of the site, designed the site. But I don't know what they would add to Dane's work, if that's what we're talking about.
I think they would just be looking at the plans and saying, you know, oh, I'm on my deck here, but I'm just imagining. That they're gonna be saying, you know, we need 50 feet of piping to get from the manhole to the trunk, you know, the termination of the trunk line. I'm not exactly sure. I'm just assuming they would be able to specify the distances or whatever, then Bane would calculate the materials needed.
I mean, I would feel more comfortable with Dane doing that because he's got to put it in, and. I don't know, Josh, you work with us a lot more than anybody else here. What would be a recommended way? Should the engineers, are they accurate enough, on site enough to know this in that kind of detail? Do you think?
I don't think the engineers need to do anything on it, other than, you know, we're gonna have to figure out, unless it's already on the site plan where we put the transformer with a great power on it. Assuming it's going to be a transformer for that big project. But as far as like stuffing in the sewer and the water and stuff like that, that's just not a material or anything. You know, other than the engineer, like calling out the specific connections and various things like that, you know, being able to take care of it. You know,
Is GM2 contracted by the town?
No, there are, we contact with them, that's our.
I actually know anything that went through the town had to go through that.
Well, all of their plans were already approved by the town, which brings me to the next thing. So we're kind of in between, we're fluid here between number 6 and 5. Let me just give you an update on the conversations that we've had with Allison, Ray, Amy. I'm not sure Amy was on. Yeah, I think Amy was on that call. Water, sewer, and town engineer. So, we had contemplated starting this winter. And essentially the town, the trunk line, and essentially the town is saying, no, we want you to do it much closer to when the town's gonna be doing the paving project. I think. I'm just reading between the lines here, I think what they don't want is for us to have service road put in there. That's going to be eroding onto West Side Road for a number of months before we can get it all together. So they want us to delay to have it jive more closely to the paving project. No problem, that still gives us enough time to complete the work before the deadline of fall of 25. They also, we have to write another letter to water sewer. We had a provisional acceptance of the project. But they want us to write again, explaining our current circumstances and our plan with the trunk line. So I'll try to work that letter.
If you give me the provisional approval, I'll go ahead and do that.
Thank you. So
They should have provisional approvals in writing somehow, somewhere.
They didn't give us anything, they sort of expected us once we get that approval, I don't think they gave us anything.
yeah, at the last go.
Yeah, there was something.
There was, yeah.
Because I know,
Yeah, there is something in writing from.
I asked Dylan for the something.
There is something, it was pretty vague, but there is something.
So, I just want to make sure I understand this. who on the town was worried about erosion on the service road coming into? the
Those are
town?
my words, those are my words.
So what was their main concern?
I'm fishing to try to figure it out.
I think,
Cutting the pavement.
yeah, but
Mess the road up.
typically, yeah, when they cut the road, swap the road open, they'll put like a scratch coat on,
Yeah.
it's like not one temporary patch. And they just don't like the road to have a temporary patch for 6 months, they prefer it to be a minimal amount of time, like a matter of weeks. Because, and so that way, if we time it in sync with the paving company coming out, there'll only be a patch in the road for a matter of weeks versus months and months. It's kind of a nuisance, you know, for people to drive on.
I'm glad it doesn't push it past our issue.
Right, and that, you know, if everything holds together in town, scheduling with the paving. It's okay with me, so. You know,
So it is, you checked with them, about this?
yeah, I
Timing,
read him into the fact that, you know, we're pushing it off.
Same time.
See, yeah,
Okay.
I'm sure he would he referred to it sooner rather than later, but he seemed amenable.
If we ask them that if they delay, that we need to do it,
Say that in please.
it's like if we have a deadline, if they delay it, then we need to revisit whether we do it here. Let's say they delay it.
Yeah, I hadn't thought that far, but I would say. If we get into a time crunch, then obviously we'll be reaching out to multiple parties to.
It does, it would be a delay though, because they don't wanna get stuck paving in the summer, so they're gonna be
Right.
trying to prioritize getting their stuff done before the season starts.
Yeah.
And should I, have Bain rewrite that proposal then, with the. Because he tried to rewrite it once, but he kept the final dollar amount the same and he pulled out the extra work, so maybe we should get that in line.
Could you work on that to develop a new subcontract
Yeah.
for that scope of work?
Okay.
Thank you. Last thing from that conference, telephone conference that we had was. Jim Jeremiah essentially strongly requesting that we engage GM2 when the time comes to have their representative on site during the construction of the trunk line.
and the reason why?
This is GM2.
Yeah. that's
GM2,
right.
yeah.
Is Jeremiah,
He's a town engineer.
okay, he's a town employee, not.
Correct.
He's a contractor, and, he's not, really. He's
I thought it was the town, I thought he's designated as the town engineer.
he's not, well, that might
I
change.
believe he reviews.
I don't think he's an employee. I think it's basically a non-bidding service that has been reviewed for 20 years. No, not to bid, etc. I'm pretty sure about that, at least that's the way it was when I was on the town council.
Yeah, should be.
I try to change, I mean, yeah, but why isn't he here? If he's a town engineer, I mean, there's been some issues, I'll have to say, with him and providing services. If he's the engineer, the question back to me, to him, from my perspective, is why aren't you going to be here?
Well, it's not his word, it's GM2's.
But
They're-
you think
they're
you
just-
want an arm's length party to say, this was put in the way the design was proved. But
Yeah, I mean, I think his concern in having them there representative is that the work was done in accordance with exactly how they drew it.
Yeah.
Orders were cut, or not that they do that, but just sort of on the town, for the benefit of the town to know that, you know. If anything ever came back, there was an issue, the two came in after the approved work on site, you know. I don't think they need to be there the entire week of work, but if they came out on one day, final installation.
can I put that in your report as well?
Sure.
Interface with Jam two?
Yeah,
Do we pay for that?
Yeah, that's, no, we would.
Gene two is pretty expensive, and Jeremiah is not as expensive, I don't think. And plus, would have thought this would be his responsibility. But he's
Well, that's
putting it on the GMC.
pretty much what I said in the conference call was, I didn't understand that, but. He reiterated that it's the way it should go. It
Well,
will be-
can you ask him the reasoning behind this? For why he would rather have GMT rather than be present, or, you know, his company's presence. Yeah, he has his own engineering.
Well, either way, we're gonna pay.
Right.
So, I would say, you know, let's talk to GM2 and see what their fee schedule is and.
Yeah,
And,
a day for one guy to come out. I mean, anytime I've had an inspection, be it an HVAC engineer, a structural engineer, or whatever. It is the company that designed the work that comes out and inspects the work. It's never like the architect, it's always.
No, so,
What he's proposing is not of the ordinary. But we can see what. Is regular.
all right, let's do that. And then the last thing. Which, is just an aside from Bain. I don't have the plans here in front of me to point it out to you. And again, I'm on thin ice here describing this to you. But if you can imagine where the road cut was on the plans. Pretty much opposite that road cut, in the middle of the road, is where the manhole was gonna be sunk for the water sewer line. Which means putting in a brand new manhole. They explained that, you know, hey, it's doable. But as drawn, in his opinion, which may be right, may be wrong, but in his opinion, as drawn. That additional manhole thing is probably, has a sticker price on it of about 25 grand. So he was saying, if you look slightly to the east, heading towards the cemetery. There's already an existing manhole there. And that there could be a modification that would be. Solve the same thing, do the same thing, but. Be more cost efficient.
Can you go with that in its purposes, because I'm trying to think what would that mean, what are you doing? But it is there, I remember seeing it.
Again, I'm just guessing,
That would be a question
The
for,
manhole,
that's
right,
where the connection
it's
is,
in the road, right?
yeah,
that would be a question for.
Jeez,
so we take that on your plate too, Josh.
Oh, well, GM2 and sewer.
And sewer, yeah,
What
so it's sewer, water and GM2,
so water runs under and through over towards the Great Salt Pond. There's a culvert, but I don't think it was involved.
no, the manhole should be above water sewer pipe.
It says they provide underground public utilities for maintenance, inspection and repairs. They're a vital part of the water supply and sanitary.
And I think he was saying something about cutting off. I really can't.
Oh, there might
explain
be,
it.
yeah, there might be.
Okay.
Out down there.
In order to do the work for the manhole that's presented. We would have to cut off sewer water flow of everybody. You know, West Side
West Side,
Twenty
yeah.
and San Carlos and all, that whole crew. And if everything went really, really well. No problem, but if there was a glitch. He could be talking days of issues. And I'm not exactly sure. So it's just something that we can research on an engineering practical in the, you know, a lot of times plans are done and then when you actually get in the field. Things start to change a bit.
Well, so
But
they're
it sounds like one
they're
of those,
typically located at key intersections in the drainage system. That's probably why they put it really good.
So, doesn't this have to be, when all said and done, it has to be permitted by the town, there's approval by the water and sewer, it's gonna have to take this into account.
correct. So currently, the way the plans are drawn is what is approved. So this would be a modification to the plan, if it made sense at all. And GM2 may have known that that other manhole was there and for whatever reason said that's not a good plan. I don't know.
So
But it's a question that was raised.
If it's 25K. then, You know. it's-
This is not a million,
I
right?
think it's, we cross that bridge and come with, as we get to the final approval from water and sewer.
Well, I think we might need to be a little more proactive if we're talking
So
about
if I have
spring.
any contact about the site, I can always pose the question. They may have a,
They may have a reason why they
already, and
didn't do it that way.
that would be the end of it.
Yeah.
But if not, maybe there's a little.
You just ask an opinion.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
While we're on extensions and things like that,
Mhm.
do we have the extension from the other foundation, the other letter that was?
That one out as well. Going back. A number of months ago. This is to the Rosa Pond, yeah, we had nothing in response to your letter at this juncture. But a number of months ago, I had a verbal, that, you know. We understand and we're good, but I haven't had anything in writing from Rosa.
Okay. Second question, we may have discussed this already, and I apologize, but extension of zoning approval. Have we requested that?
We can now.
Okay. And when was the date of our approval? Is that, you remember, or, I don't remember, I wasn't this board
for you.
I was on the zoning board, but I don't remember. Because we only had 1 year.
Yeah, it wasn't this year, was it? We haven't had it.
But I think we better do that ASAP.
Okay. All right. So I'll draft that as well.
Thank you.
Ask for approval from who?
Zoning board.
It's extension.
Acceptable.
And we'll ask for 24 months, because apparently that's, I just did it on mine.
Yeah, I 24 for sure.
I thought it was spring.
Yeah.
But I'll also try to figure out the exact date. If anyone has the exact date of our zoning approval, that would be helpful. In case,
It's. When we go to files, it's, anyways, there and think about that one up.
I'll ask him to.
Yeah, she would have it pretty.
All right,
But it's,
that's it.
okay. All right, anything else on, the trunk line and infrastructure of Paul O'Brien? Okay. And moving on. Number 7 and number 8 are, kind of fluid. So our discussion will overlap on both of those issues. Stephen, we're talking about, the reality of our situation at Paul O'Brien. You know, we had plans approved for 16 rental units. Ready to go, we just don't have the money. So now the question is, how then shall we proceed? So we've been batting around, you know, a number of possibilities. If we can't afford to build the design that we have, maybe we need to look at a design that will improve our financial ability to do it. Do we phase the project to meet financial needs? Do we tweak the project? One thing that I think really needs to be batted around is the model of for sale units vis-a-vis rental units. We had originally, a couple of years ago, discussed the possibility of having a hybrid there. We put that to the side and went all in on rentals. Is it time to discuss that issue? That maybe a hybrid model might get us off dead center and be more financially possible. to build. So I'm gonna open this up to everybody, to get your thoughts and ideas on, you know. How then shall we move forward? What do you think our best game plan is to get something moving on the Bowl Run property?
Can I just ask a question? Is the Omni in the one neighborhood, are they the private entities?
So, and that would be
So
one
that's
direction,
kinda
that
like-
would be one direction as well, yeah.
So that kind of is part
Yeah,
of this.
and we don't
conversation
have a lot of input right now, but yes,
No, okay.
that's a good direction. They are, Chris, you wanna explain that? And one neighborhood builders, they're like private public developers.
Yeah. Special
These are the
cases.
things.
My understanding. And they would be presented a parcel. And they would be the contractors to build the units. Basically. Taking over a lot of the decisions that this board really doesn't have the horsepower to make. So that's their function, in my understanding.
It's a company that builds affordable housing for profit. But it's not like the kind of profit you would think, it's
They're a nonprofit.
a nonprofit profit. But it's to run itself, so it's like a company that does these developments. For affordable housing, and we looked into it in the beginning, but they did only larger projects, but then we found people that did smaller projects. And that is probably. The best case scenario, as long as it's good for the island and good for the housing board, because they handle all of it. The rental, the aspect, the building, the managing, all of it, because it's their business.
Financially, I think what we would be bringing to the table is
So
the site
Yeah,
and our interface with the town and ability.
yeah,
the zoning.
yeah,
They would then design the project, build the project, and benefit from the rents of the project. That's how they get paid back.
Does that manage the property,
Yeah.
post-construction?
Yes, well, that,
It's part of the whole plan.
But yes, they, yeah,
There's no separate planning, but the key thing is that we would be bringing the land. And we would also be controlling the amounts, so it's our duty to make sure that these are affordable places.
yeah, they curtail whatever state and town regulations are where the property is.
So I think we've sent letters out to both of them with the package describing the project. We've heard back from one or both.
one.
So that other guy that we talked to on the phone, he hasn't responded yet.
Right.
They don't, or do they offer any financing themselves?
I think they have partners that do, and like they work with banks and loans and that kind of thing to help people.
I'm
It's kind
sure
of like a whole little. Like, I mean, and I guess there's different ones that do different things, but
I think that they have access to lots of different
Yeah.
financial models, so they get. Programs that have tax incentive money and. They have public funds and various,
yeah, some of the questions are like portable mixed in with regular. So that they use the money from the regular sales for the affordable.
So have we scheduled a meeting with them yet, or?
No.
That's.
I was hoping that they could join us for this meeting, unfortunately, they could not.
Okay.
So they have suggested Thursday, November 21. That is
2 days.
this Thursday. They could do something around 11 o'clock or something within the window of 1:30 to 3 o'clock. Anybody, A, interested in being on that call and B, available?
I'm interested, but not available. Sorry.
I'm interested in it, available.
No, which
This
group?
is-
This
One
is one neighborhood, Stephen Kearns.
What are the optional dates and times again?
Right now, he just gave me November 21 because I think he was trying to do something this week because then we have Thanksgiving, it's short week, blah, 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 so we probably wouldn't be looking until December.
available.
Thursday.
Yeah. That sounds great. It's-
If I have a ring.
Yeah, supposed to get.
So, that'd be great. I'm sorry I can't be there, but you're happy to be terrific.
Well, it's just an initial, it would be initial foray and I would love to have extra ears. and questions on the call.
So,
Okay,
Yeah.
so,
And this-
all right, so, shall I aim for 11 or 1:30?
I would say 1:30. 1:30, is that better? I don't know. That's better for me because I have at 11, I'm. So.
All right, any, between 1:30 and 3, okay, I'll try to get something and let you guys know.
Is that kind of like a Zoom?
I would think it would be a Zoom or,
Zoom, or can we just be on a conference call?
or conference call, yeah.
That's perfect, so on Omni. What was the guy's name? Did we send a letter directly to that guy?
And, yes, we did, Andrew,
Yeah, I said some words earlier. Actually, not really.
I'm not remembering it at this moment, but I do have it written down. I'll make a follow-up call to him.
Okay. That was the Cherry Hill project on it.
By the house.
Yes.
Oh, there was enough capital in
The model that we've used thus far is, save up our yearly income. Leverage that as best we can, acquire a piece of property, that was a bargain sale. Pay for it. Save our money. Get enough money to cover the infrastructure costs, get the road in, get the foundations in. Then we took out a loan. At the time it was with Washington Trust. Purchased the boxes. And hired a contractor to finish them. Sold them. Paid off the loan.
the sale.
Yeah, three.
Because
Yes. So the between acquisition costs, the infrastructure costs. Wells, septic, foundation, et cetera. Roughly speaking, and this is very roughly. The housing board put in at least 50% of that project.
And does
Of
the
the cost
housing
per
board
unit,
get
of the cost per
allocated
unit.
funds from the town every year or something?
No, we get the 1% fee on seasonal rentals. So anybody that rents their house pays us 1%. That generates. 200-ish. 200-ish a year. We have 190,
Yeah.
200, something like that.
5 year saving on money.
Right, and that's the problem when we're looking at a $7 million project for these rentals buildings. We do have bonding authority for 2 million. So we can borrow up to 2 million right now, we got $1 million behind us, there's 3 million. We're still short, and paying back that 2 million will pretty much eat up all of our yearly income for the foreseeable future. So,
We won't get our investment back.
no, no.
So this is the first project where we are considering rental and having to figure out that aspect of not being paid back to go on to the next project, an ongoing thing. So that's why the management companies work,
Yeah, that makes sense.
because then it's. Yeah. And as long as it's still affordable and as long as it's still within the guidelines of what we're looking, to give our year-round people.
So it might not be a bad idea to think about selling, renting again, like.
Well, if we can get one of these companies on board, it would be all rental. Whereas if we can't, then I think you think about the sale rental, because then that might pay for it, or at least help it. Move it along. We'd still have to find someone to manage the rental stuff, because it's not something we're doing,
I thought we already had some.
we do. The same people that manage Cyril's ball. Yeah, I think we have to explore this company thing first and then figure out if that doesn't work. Then figure out
Plan C.
plan C for sale, rental. Yeah,
That's what I mean, very good.
we have to make sure too, that when we're talking about these companies. That we educate people enough about it so that they don't think that, we're bringing a company to make money off of affordable housing. We need to make sure we play that right with the people that need it. And explain why it's that way. But the town doesn't have an entity to manage it, and we don't, we're a volunteer board, so we don't have an entity to manage it, so we're gonna be paying someone to manage it.
Yeah.
That is important.
The company that does the Sears Ball, they've been managing it for years.
Yeah,
Nobody moves.
They charge a rate that's incorporated into the rent, it's,
they're a management company of affordable housing, I think they do other stuff too, but that's what they do.
they handle maintenance and anything on the
Mhm.
property.
They have a person on site that's supposed to do it.
They have a local boots on the ground guy. They have, I think their biggest function is, oversight of the,
Rent collection.
yeah, the rent collection and, when there's a turnover, qualifying person, because there's a lot of hoops to jump through, maintaining the list of people that want to get in there, and that's a long list. As we stand right now in 2024, and I'm not, it's certainly not Wildwood's problem or shortcoming, I don't believe. But the buildings themselves have been extremely underfunded for capital improvements, maintenance. So they are really behind the eight ball right now.
I don't think
I
that's
don't
their
think-
fault.
no, I don't think it is,
That's
because
the grant.
There's not enough money in the rents are a pittance. There's not enough money in the rents to get a war chest to put new roofs on. So that's a huge failing of that particular project, that we need to be aware of. You know,
Is that
to make
how-
sure.
No,
No, that was a Block Island Economic Development Foundation project about
Federally
40 years ago, 45 years ago. And it is the first and only, it was then USDA. Smallest project USDA ever funded. Now USDA is Department of Agriculture. So it's ancient history. But interestingly, this guy, Stephen Kearns, that's at One Home Builders, worked for Women's Development Board, which was involved in the East Rose Ball project.
Okay, that's.
And he remembered, you know, because my name is Pattis, I think Tony was the chair at the time,
Okay.
and he asked about Bob Agricola and Jared Pierce. Unfortunately, Bob is no longer with us, but Jared Pierce is still fighting a good fight, trying to find money to repair that building. Those meetings.
do they have a board or something? I know we're going off.
Yeah, they have a board, they're trying to reinvigorate, but
But there's so many
they've aged
federal
out.
grants and.
They've aged out a lot.
Yeah.
So it's, and we have over the years tried to get them to have a more close relationship with us, but they very much value their identity. And that hasn't been successful to date. But they've done a lot of good work on that over the decades.
Yeah, I guess on this, it's not bad. I was approached by a summertime resident of who is a developer and was calling into this project, those before, you know, wanting to discuss this project with me, and says, oh, we could potentially offer something. Have this conversation, just listen to what-
Absolutely.
You know, it's lead to nothing, but there might be something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
right.
I mean, that's kind of how we found these smaller companies, because we thought, when we did this initial research. We did look into companies that did this, but they wouldn't do anything under 34 units.
Right.
So,
Word about it.
well, then
Well, no.
people got involved with live here. and then
Robert
they
Brown in
Yeah.
particular.
We found people that did it for smaller versions that we couldn't find through our channels.
Okay.
So, yeah, any help with anyone that's interested in helping.
Yeah, we really need to cast the net
Yeah,
at
Okay.
this point to see, you know, what's possible.
Yeah, I mentioned that we were having some issues and he was still like wanting to have this conversation, so I'll do this.
Great.
Anybody
else?
Building.
Anybody else wanna weigh in on this?
No, just for,
Why
I think just. Other point about these companies that were, and they have great websites.
Mhm,
very
yeah.
informative.
I think the education is important for us,
Yeah,
not
so we need to get those names and website out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
when there's, when the, you know,
Yeah,
to get like,
right.
it's, we need to make sure it's funded correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that we understand it.
Yes,
Completely,
yeah.
that it is, you know, something to, not,
And at some point, we'll. I hate to bring this up, at some point, we're gonna need legal counsel on
yeah,
negotiating an agreement with these companies.
Yeah. completely.
So.
We do have an attorney, Pierre,
Hair, well, hair, right, well,
well, yeah.
hair, yeah.
G?
It's not,
No,
No, he's a nature conservancy.
Oh,
He's taken over the ones that left. With that, at least do it.
okay, that's good news.
His company's in Providence.
anybody else wanna weigh in on this subject?
I guess I agree with Rosemary, but let's see, let's keep going with these private public partnerships
Mhm.
for rentals. Does that really seem to be the what the majority, vast majority of people were asking for? And I understand that we think we need to be a financially solid entity. But that's really not in our legislation, that, you know, the town can set aside money for us too, if they would like to, keep us, you know, above zero. So the idea of selling houses to keep us with money, I think it's a discussion that we should have with the town, see if that's really what they want us to be, like a profit center or non-profit center that can tread water for many, many years, or if they're willing to, you know, throw money to us, or we are willing to seek new funding sources.
Well, I agree with, you know, researching these companies, but I just wanna put a little nuance on. Selling houses is not for us to make money, it's for us to stay,
Pay back.
with the ability to then go on to the next project. To be able to roll that money into the next project.
Right, and that's what it's about, trying to water, keep going, to go into the,
Yes.
and that's my euphemism for what you just said, so I agree with you.
I still have concern about the sales, I think, you know, we could make it more. More attractive to someone, but I do think that, you know, you have a smaller amount of people that want that buy than you do have direct.
Which brings me to the next thing I was thinking about. Since we now have the luxury of a little bit of time, we're not putting a shovel in the ground tomorrow. That I think it's a real opportunity to take a closer look at who our clients are. You know, we started this journey really like 5 years ago, and the landscape has changed. Town is building rentals, the medical center has built some rentals. You know, everybody's talking about whatever new construction happens in town, that it will have a housing component to it. So I think trying to make sure that we've got good data is an important thing. So I'd asked Chris to dust off our, that old survey that you and Alicia did. Also had a conversation, but I didn't follow through yet. Keith Stover had an idea. And he was wondering if he was going to ask, town hall staff if the town website could accommodate. Accommodate, site. For me. Thank you, Link. Where people could, you know, that we could keep a running tab of everybody looking for housing. And get some good feedback from them, you know, what kind of price range, how large a place they need, what their needs are, that people could actually register there. So that we can get a sense of how deep is the need? You know, is 5 minutes sufficient or do we need 20? So. I thought that was a really good idea. How does anybody else feel about it?
I think it is too, it's,
Yeah,
yeah, it's like, we should have that on numbers.
yeah, it's never bad to have
Well, it's
information.
a thought that it could be incorporated into our website.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, Keith said, you know, it could be something that every year you have all the data there. You would write to these people every year and say, hey,
Yeah.
are you still in? Because a lot of our data gets old fast. So I thought that was a great idea. So we try to,
Yeah,
you could mention, when you talk to Josh, you can
Yeah.
mention that component. And see how difficult that is.
A survey,
Shouldn't do that.
Well, more like a registry,
yes.
more like a registry.
And it could, you know, this updating, it could be almost automatic, I mean, it could be set up to send out an automatic email to these folks. Confirming their continuing need. Or whatever
Yeah.
the original is.
Over a year ago, I asked about setting up the registry and criteria for rentals. You know, it's not, well, you see things, so nothing happened. Yeah,
You were ahead of your time, Chris.
no, I didn't, we were waiting time to die. We, you know. We need a deadline for when we want our website operating. We need to set a goal. And we need to, work towards that. Right now, we've been talking about website for 3 consecutive meetings, I believe, over the last May 4 now. And, you know, we're no further towards that, really.
Would you be willing to work with Rosemary?
Yeah, but what's the consensus on when we'd like to have this operation, sorry. When do we want to see a result out there? And we can work towards that.
Is the current person that's volunteering to do this website, is it like a pro bono thing, or are we paying them?
I was. Even to say volunteering is a little. Strong. He mentioned at a meeting like 6 months ago that
I'm
he'd
sure
be
he will,
willing, he'd be willing to work on it. Pardon me?
I'm sure he might want some money, but
Not
Maybe
that,
not as
it's
much.
tax deductible contribution, his time, his source and resources. That can be set up so he can take it as a tax deduction.
And we also have resources, and I think we could use resources to get something that we're all proud of
but
here.
we also have to, we can't just ask someone, so we can find someone to actually do. The components of it, we have to figure out how we wanna map it out, how we wanna outline,
Right. This
you know, what is, who's it for? You know, we can't just be like, hey, go do it. We have to literally have like an outline and a plan for how we want it and who our audience is.
Well, first, we have to find out, you know,
Yeah,
is this something that he does?
yeah,
Or is it a hobby?
but I think simultaneously as we're working on this, we can be starting to think about that.
Well, if you and Chris can take
Yeah.
that on this project to try to start that brainstorming, you know, I'm sure it's gonna take a couple of iterations.
All right, let's be a sub-task group or task group. Whatever, you and me.
I'll see it later.
No, I'm not going to,
Kidding.
I'll go to Rackman's.
I mean, I think we could try to do it by March, spring,
That sounds good to me.
yeah. I mean, holidays are hard right now with people, I can't get people to do anything. And I don't wanna do anything,
If you need
You
an
can strike that
alternate,
from the vehicle.
the company I used to do, my company website did a great job, they did it pretty quickly, so.
Yeah.
This guy's not.
I'll say, look, my Wish Farm website went up in 2 months, and that was with being able to take money. Make reservations, blah, 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 you know, so we can make it March, I feel.
oh, easily, it's not hard to do anymore, it's just finding a person to do it.
Well, and So this goes back to, I don't know whether this is a hobby of Josh's or it's something that he has a
I
skill set.
I emailed him right after we talked.
Because
and I'll see what
It
he
would be
says.
good to get somebody who has that as a
Well, he's
vocation.
yeah. And he knows what's needed, because he's been there. So. He hasn't got back to me.
Did we go by agenda item 8? Because I was worried about that.
We kind of addressed it.
We are,
And it was 7.
I just have to ask what the acronym STR is. Is that state tax revenue? By any chance? I didn't know that, so I wouldn't. That's.
oh, no, we didn't discuss that, and that is that is input from, Jerry Newman and Rob Grant. Specifically more Jerry Newman. So in the idea of, we're kind of stuck where we are, we don't know how to move forward because we're short of funds. Jerry and Rob were just brainstorming on other things that could happen. And that short-term rental subsidies idea, short-term rental subsidies is something that Jerry did some research on. In a nutshell, Nantucket has a program where homeowners that are currently doing short-term rentals are offered a cash subsidy by the housing board to turn their short-term rental into a year-round rental. They've had some moderate success with that. The key, as I look at the homeowners that I represent, it's very, very rare that the homeowner doesn't, very few people give me a rental for the whole summer. They're giving you 2 weeks here and 3 weeks there because they're using it themselves. Most of our homeowners are pretty invested in I can't think of anybody really that has an investment property that they're, trying to max out and they don't use it themselves.
But how much of it did they actually use for how many weeks? My feeling is it's becoming, people come here are buying properties and using them for less than a month.
Yeah, but they don't want to give that up is the problem.
Right.
Yeah, that's their time lock on, so to try to get them to do a year-round rental, they've lost their vacation, so to speak.
But how about properties with more than one housing unit on? There's a ton of houses out here that have accessory buildings that they're renting seasonally, not year round.
Yeah. Well,
That would be,
Those are the ones when we were brainstorming on all the legislative changes, ordinance changes, trying to get those to
Yeah.
incentivized to be year round. It's a lot faster, less expensive to do that approach, I think, than trying to build what we're, doing what we're trying to
Right.
build, because it's obviously gonna take a long time.
and that's essentially, I think, what Jerry and Rob are saying is, the 513 ADU thrust is very powerful. And that we as a board should be really looking at ways to promote and advocate for that. It is the most cost-efficient avenue.
well, depending on the new town ordinance of rentals, they should be able to unscathe some of those. That are doing it not legally. I don't know how they're,
I'm not sure.
some people are renting 513 weekly. Or that they weren't necessarily 513s, but they were just that second building that was supposed to be a dwelling, it became a dwelling,
Mhm.
and they got rented. Cause a lot of them did it as part of the main house, but then they separated them. There's no one kind of policing it,
Yeah, I don't know.
but the new ordinance with the septic and all that, it's gonna. as long as they.
But chances are those people aren't registering as rentals anyway.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
as long as,
So-
I mean, the ordinance is gonna take us a while to get into, just like the 1% did. But eventually it'll be something that people are gonna have to follow. Yeah,
Yeah, if there's enforcement.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think our website should have that kind of stuff on it, like, you're a homeowner, you're thinking about the building 513, here's what we do.
Yeah.
I still believe that. People not educated about that kind of stuff is. Even if 100 people looked at it and one person did it, that's still one more housing project that would have been there thinking about it. I do believe a lot of people don't know what a 513 is.
Robin Villa is working with a small nonprofit in this area right now. I've had a couple of conversations with her, and certainly we don't wanna, tread on her toes.
No, they're doing
Cause
grants.
they're doing, yeah, and she's got a real niche there. They're doing a great thing. But it might be nice to invite her to come to a meeting and see if there's any way that we can
I talk
assist.
to her all the time about it, but and they're trying to help with grants for someone that wants to build one, or they're also helping people with down payments.
Right, well, I was thinking more in terms of an advertising campaign,
Yeah,
promotional stuff. Again, not to take away from what they're doing, but is there any way that we can be of assistance to her? And make sure that our efforts are not, are congruent.
I think our
Supportive.
housing website should have every sort of whatever housing is helping anyone.
Every possible reason.
Yeah, we should all be working together and, if you need a grant for 515, here's the website to. Or here's the number to Robin and that group, and if you wanna talk to town, here's the town information.
But I would like to, I just think it's
Oh, yeah,
polite to
yeah.
coordinate our
I
Yeah,
unfortunately
directly.
think that's somewhere where we're lacking, is that we all work together enough.
Yeah.
I think a collaboration of all the housing efforts is important, like we need a housing conference or something. Because I do think that sometimes everyone's working in the same direction and we could be splitting up. Areas and working, getting more done if we're each working on different aspects.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why I said, it might be great to invite Robin to our next meeting. If she's available, just to, have a roundtable discussion and how we can mutually support each other.
And Susan, a lot of going.
Susan Bush. Anything else on that? Good. So we got the Omni updates. I will get back to everybody about Thursday, looking for something in the afternoon. I'll apprise you of what they give us. And I will reach out to the other company. Member reappointments. I touched base with town clerk's office. Mark, you got reelected. Shannon, you got reelected.
It was like, I
got it in the mail.
Well,
You can buy into the town.
know, I just received that.
I know, me too, you can buy into the town insurance.
woohoo. Chris, you are not up for anything, but Millie, Josh, me, and Rosemary are up for reappointment. Our terms expire the 31st of December. I thought we had to write a letter of please reappoint me. But I guess it just happens automatically unless you say you don't want to be reappointed.
Okay.
So.
I think I was appointed by the conservative.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was on the board when you were.
So,
I think we just have to,
I'm assuming that you guys are all in,
yeah,
okay? So no
So that's
surprises.
Cindy, Rosemary, Josh and Millie.
I believe that's, it, yeah.
Chris.
Not Chris.
Not Chris.
Not Chris, no, Chris was elected,
Right,
and I,
so it's by
So some
December,
people are
this
elected and some people are appointed.
December 31st.
It is. It threw me for a loop.
I don't know, we're a quasi. Municipal group.
And you
Not
say
profit.
this is by the, by the end of the
Election
year?
laws.
I believe our terms expire the 31st of the month, so we have, in that December meeting, I think they reappoint everybody unless. It's not going on. Okay, so Rosemary and Chris, you're gonna work on the website.
Sure.
Josh, we've done a lot of stuff about the actual plans.
Yeah,
Jim,
June,
too, and Bing. You're gonna write a letter to the zoning board
And the sewer,
and the sewer.
someone's gonna provide me provisional okay from water sewers, and then I'm gonna. Write a letter.
Okay. All right,
Because that happened before I was on, I don't have the.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I'm sure Jen.
That was a couple of years ago.
And we have that conference call on Tuesday.
Yeah, and I will, I'll call them tomorrow and, pin something down.
Sounds good.
I'll also ask, Jerry and, Rob if they're available to join that call.
And see,
And see if you want to. Yeah.
You're also up here. Just contact you now.
Yes. And is there a point of contact with there too, that I should be?
Yeah.
Sure, so
Yeah.
there's a product manager.
Chris.
Bring those first.
Like,
I don't remember. It will, as soon as I see it, I'll know it, but right now. One here. Brett. Yes, Brett Meany. Brett can be reached at. 41726. 4084. Is extension 135.
What's that?
Correct, NEILAN. He has a cell phone. 368-1646. I will right now forward this to you. This Right.
Yeah, and then send an email, a follow-up email to you that. I'm happy to as well. If you,
I
send it.
wrote it down. Halfway, okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Sorry.
Really hard to speak up.
Thank you all.
Good luck, there, sir.
So, I think these microphones have worked throughout this
You
meeting.
have to push it.
I did, it's not just, we have a,
Maybe that thing isn't on.
yeah, I don't, okay,
I don't think they plugged it in. It's okay.
no one heard us.
Sorry, sorry, Jimmy.
I'm not sure.
Is
that
there,
I-
is there a, please?
I'm not, where, push it, it doesn't